that field. In the person of Mr. Segun Adeniyi, he's going to be talking about the business case for pore pressure prediction, planning rights, early detection, optimizing cost. Once again, I apologize for us starting a bit behind schedule, especially to our online members. We had some technical challenges, but we are set to go ahead. And today's meeting is sponsored by Integral Services. We have the chairman of the company, the person of Mr. Taye, Akewusola, here with us, and he'll be speaking to us in due course of the meeting. So we will start first with a safety moment, and we are seated here in the hall, and there is no planned, we don't have any planned fire drill for today, so if you hear the alarm, it's real. So we have 2 exits. We have an exit here to my right. You can follow the sign. And there is another exit door to my left. If you need to use the conveniences, you can step out to the corridor and go all the way down, and then you make a right. As if you're going back to the reception area, you will see the conveniences on the left. And as for the exits, when you step out to my right, you go all the way down. I mean, you go all the way to your right, and you go outside, you will see master point. The same master point you will see if you exit to the store. So, yeah, that's it. So, right now, I will call on the chapter coordinator. That's Jumoke Akewusola to give us a welcome address. Jumoke? All right.
Thank you. Everywhere else. Thank you very much. My name is Akewusola, and I'm glad to have you all here today. Okay, so this is NAFE North America, for those who might not know us. First of all, I want to appreciate the NAFE president. I know she's on the call. And everybody else that is on the Zoom call, we appreciate your time. I want to thank every fellow on the call. I'm able to see the Zoom attendance right now, but we acknowledge your presence, our NAFE fellows, our NAFE vice president, and everybody that has created time and made the effort to be here today. Let me introduce NAFE to you and who we are. We are a community of professionals in the energy industry, and we go beyond North America. Though we are Nigerian in origin, but we are open and inclusive of every energy professional, including engineers. You will see on our slide for the our expo, we actually have been among us. So we are the largest professional association of petroleum geoscientists and related disciplines in Africa. So this is our leadership team. This is me, and we have in the room the expo just to stand up and be recognized. This is the first time the expo will be coming to us. Without further ado, I will move on to the next slide. So what do we do? As you can see with the flyers on the screen, over the 1 year ago, we've done all this. We've organized leading events such as the technical business meeting that you are attending today. We've held professional development workshops that are geared towards advancing our members professionally, and we've had volunteer activities. We can see we held the donation drive. We've been to the food bank to support the Houston Food Bank, and we have a lot of activities that we're also looking forward to later this year. Stay tuned for that. In the announcement, we'll let you see them. So, and for this event, we've been able to attract professionals all across technical, leadership, management, students, everybody is welcome. So today we are going to be having a topic that is very, very important. Not only is it important for optimizing our business, but also it is very, very safety related. And I'm sure that when you start listening to the talk, you will realize why. So without further ado, I want to thank you for your time. I hope you take one or two things from here. And when it's time for the Q&A, please engage. And I'm looking forward to network with you after the presentation when we have a happy hour event. So without further ado, I will introduce Madam President, Madam Olajumoke Ajayi Efnabi. Over to you, Madam P.
Okay, good morning, good evening, whatever part of the world you are. I'm here in Nigeria, so it's early in the morning, 12 midnight. Thank you very much, North American Chapter Coordinator. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, ma'am.
Well, I think those in the hall can't hear me.
Okay. Madam Akinpelu, can you hear us online?
Please, can you try speaking again?
Can you hear me?
No.
Volume is up on the
Computer.
Those online can hear me, but those in the hall.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Thank you
Okay.
very much. So, good morning, good
You can
evening,
activate
everyone.
your video, ma'am.
You said?
Can you show the video, ma'am? Your video. Okay, you can go ahead.
I can't hear you. Okay, I can hear you. So, good morning, everyone, and good evening, anywhere in the world you are. I am glad that North American chapter is the first chapter that is hosting technical meeting this year on the 15th or the 17th of the month of January. Thank you very much for doing this. It's I'm impressed because you are the first of the 8 chapters doing it, even earlier than the national body. So I'm really glad this is happening at this time. And not only that you are hosting now, it's also the topic being discussed today. There can't be a better time than now to have this topic discussed. Hello?
We can hear you.
You can go
Okay.
ahead, ma'am. I hear you.
Okay. So there can't be a better time than now to have this topic discussed because pore pressure is is a serious matter in the oil and gas business, and many unexplored opportunities, especially in the deeper terrain, are um, are yet to be tapped because people are scared of getting it getting into such deep environment because of the possibility of encountering high pressure. So I believe that we have a lot to learn here today because poor pressure prediction is a strong business enabler. And why I'm saying that is it's not just a technical tool, it's a strong business enabler because if you get it right, you can drill as much as you want to, and by so doing, you encounter, huge reservoir with um, very high volume that can add to your discovery or your company. So when you do your pore pressure early and accurately, it allows you to plan better. So, and I know many people are not doing that, and for that reason, they focus on the area that they've discovered, where they have discoveries and they don't go deeper. If you don't get it right, you can have well-controlled issues, which nobody prays for. So I want us to listen attentively, ask as much question as you can, so that we can get it right and continue. We are explorers. We need to go as deep as possible, explore as much as we can. So I look forward to listening to the presenter today, who is a specialist in pore pressure. Please, let's sit down and listen attentively and learn and take the learning back to our companies where we can utilize it to at least enable our business and make it work better and discover more oil. So thank you very much. And our immediate past coordinator, I'm surprised to see you there. I thought you were back to Nigeria. Thanks
It's everywhere.
thanks for the support. And by God's grace, I'll be in the US in the next early second week in February. And hopefully I will meet with you, the coordinators. So let me just stop at this point so that I don't take too much of your time. But again, thank you to our speakers and the sponsor. Thank you to all who are online to participate in this first technical meeting via 2026. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam President, for that very warm speech you have delivered. And that has completely set the ball in motion for this evening's meeting. So I'm sure you're all excited and ready to listen to our speaker. If I can just get his profile up in a minute, then I will read his profile and then he can step up to the podium to deliver his paper. Thank you very much. Okay, so Mr. Segun Adeniyi is a pore pressure and geomechanics specialist with more than 15 years of global experience supporting high-stakes drilling operations across the Gulf of Mexico, the Niger Delta, West Africa, the North Sea, the Middle East, and South America. His career is distinguished by his ability to integrate geophysical, petrophysical drilling, and geomechanical data to deliver accurate pore pressure predictions, real-time surveillance, and well-bore stability solutions that reduce risk and optimize operational cost. He has served as a trusted technical advisor to numerous international operators, providing pore pressure planning, real-time execution support, and comprehensive post-well evaluations. Segun has led pore pressure PPFG assurance for projects ranging from onshore to complex deepwater and ultra-deepwater environments, achieving zero NPT while enabling safer, more efficient drilling performance. His expertise spans pre-drilling modeling, real-time PPFG updates, fault fracture risk assessment, drilling mechanics, and strategic well placement. With a strong record of coaching teams, developing field-wide PPFG models, and driving continuous improvement, Segun consistently demonstrates how rigorous planning and early detection of pressure changes translates directly into cost savings and operational success. He holds advanced degrees in geology and engineering and remains an active contributor to industry technical communities. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Segun Adeniyi for his presentation.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh, the guy is online, yeah.
Yeah.
Really kind of. Anyway, good evening, everybody. Yeah, I think Mr. Adebola said it, but my name is Adeniyi, and I've been in the industry for a while. The only thing I know how to do is just convection. Exactly. I think just like majority of us, I started out in regular book, and I was in OTG. That was years back. And when I moved to US in 2010, I found my niche. Listening with Bika Hughes, and where they placed me was retail operations. That was the concept, and I think we started Pore monitoring center in Bika Hughes, and that was in 2011. And from there, I moved to BP. You know, I was in BP for a while. Then during the transition, then I left, consulted a little bit, then went back to BP again. So. And as everybody will agree, this industry, there's no permanent thing, there's no permanent enemy. When things are good, when things are you give up, you know, they let you go as well. So that's the nature of the business. Never since then I've been engaged in the industry as well. Currently now, I'm still supporting the company. I think I can say a few probably a few words from the sponsor today, if you don't mind. Yeah. I think it's going to be a good idea. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. So just like a quick warm up, and I want us to go through this. Where is it? Yeah, turn the volume down. Oh, okay. Look at this together, you know. So, what's going to be your anyway? I think I already did that. So the question says, which basin drilling records show the significant portion of MPT yield linked to pore pressure and well stability? Yes, I think a very big that in Mexico. And in this one, oh, the answer is already there, so there's no point.
So put it on the presentation.
Let me go to the second one as well. The photo of Mexico and Nigeria, poor pressure position, you know, move directly increase, so it's non-productive time. And the next one, narrow pressure window, you know, driven by depletion and the pressure effect. Effect can mostly caused by loss of saturation and the very stability as well. And of course, in the Gulf of Mexico, this for that in what especially where drill without adequate pressure prediction might cause 150 and I think some of us have been seeing this in in our operation as well. And of course, we drilling parameters widely used in real time of pressure and nationwide drilling. And that's one of the simplest and the easiest one. But I've seen some cases whereby they didn't even have any WD in book, and you have to resort in DA drilling as well to do it. And of course, what is the primary business part of accurate pressure prediction is the PT, time and drilling cost. And what is the most leverage approach for reducing costs associated with operation uncertainties, integrated operation and we can move to the I cannot stress this alone because I've seen cases whereby we have money, which of course you're going to be seeing during the course of presentation today. That you may have a robust operation because there's still uncertainty inherent in our application. So real-time monitoring is very important. Not only that, it's very critical. And okay, I think I am done with that. So let me now continue to my presentation for today. So that serves as a warm-up for everybody today, so that we can have a level set. I need help there. Oh yeah. So the slide you're seeing today, Alice, I just want to start off by saying the slide you're seeing today, Alice, depending on where you are, but I would say this, with my experience so far, one day of LPT alone is enough for, what you pay for a corporate extra to just look at your work, to be honest, because I've seen it. Recently, I was on a web whereby you already have, I think, almost a week of LPT now, doing nothing. And that alone is very, very important because, I don't know how much of people pay per rate, but at least where I work, whereby the cost of a rate alone is like close to $1 million. You cannot just afford to waste a day. So, again, when you look at how much you're going to pay for a corporate expert, which is probably around between 100 and 200,000, then depending on where you are, the online will probably be your daily rate, you are probably like 10,000, sorry, like probably between with all the personnel, at least it's probably like 400K. And one day of NPT already people pay for that. So it's not easily and a business case, it's an intelligent option to do, especially when you are planning your work. And of course, which of course you are going to be seeing as time goes on, that the more data that we have now, the more complex, but we're talking about it today, the more complex your work becomes because you have to integrate every information that you have. So, I know people, for corporate obligation does not need to pay for itself. Over the time, when you involve or when the PPA expert, participate in your work, it's already been paid for. You may not see if you have a successful well, many of us be getting lucky that we start the well and we drill and practice. We have 1 or 2 days of also, of not doing anything. But if you have any issue, that's when you know that there's a lot of issues that that are associated with your downtime. So again, and pore pressure, what is pore pressure? Pore pressure detection and cost optimization. And I got trained, I think I got really into PPAG when shortly after Macondo, and everybody knew about the Macondo. So that's when it tightened how we do pore pressure detection and forecast. And not only that, detection as well. And I would say this: a company paid what is enough to buy a whole company. For example, at least there was a time we wanted to sell a land, bought it at about probably 17 to 19 billion. And that alone is what a company paid to address, the web load. So you can picture it that if you don't do it right at times, you can actually get into catastrophic event. So perfect prediction, and what does it entail? It's a collection of is an environment whereby people of technical skill come together to look at when the geologists have a model, right? At least they want to how are we going to do this well successfully? That's one of the areas whereby I will see that. I remember a way that I was on that we have to go through almost 10 webcasts before we could agree on it. Because pore pressure is not something that somebody will just sit down in one corner, all the data and just plan it. No. geologists have to come together, petroleum have to come together, engineers have to come together so that we can look at the data together and we can adapt their concerns. And at the same time, it's not always that, okay, they drill to TD, because that's another level of uncertainty as well. You drill to TD, and completion team is even unable to even do their job. That's another area that I wanted to look at. Of course, we're going to address that as time goes on during the presentation today as well. And again, we are going to be talking about the cases whereby we plan the well, we cross the teeth, and we dot our I, and we know that everything is on point. But when you get to subsurface, and it's in a different body. I supported another well recently, probably a few weeks ago, whereby the character of the law is quite different from what we thought it's going to be. So we have to adjust our mouth. So you cannot just say you have your core pressure prediction and it's all done. No. There are some instances whereby you have to address some surprises that you get along the way. That's very, very important. And of course, how does this relate with cost, cost optimization? If you don't have anything, if you do your work successfully, you may not know how much you're saving. Or if the professional, the pension specialist just call you, oh, that is why can't you save the money? At least we're getting to the balance, or at least we're getting some indicator of pressure changes. Probably you need to adjust it. So that alone save a lot of money. So what does it matter? Most where okay. So most of the time, the issue that we have is that we overrun some of these costs as well. And I have an opportunity of privy to work costs recently, and they plan to spend, I think they plan to spend 45 million. And right now they already spent at least over $74 million already. So, and these are things that we never even planned. So most well, associated with fixed losses, stockpile, and coming to a point whereby we have to sidetrack the well as well. So because they couldn't even pay for that. So and they employ me because they couldn't drill further. Because stock and they have to bury the tools, come out of it, and do a sidetrack. So to bury a tool alone, and you know how much it's cost for some of us that for some people that are actually in the service company, how it costs. So again, pore pressure is not just the science, but it is the risk management and cost control tools as well. So very, very important, not only that, it's very, very critical for you to get it right. Okay. Try to adjust. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So pore pressure, answer three critical business questions. What is pore pressure? What kind of pore pressure are we going to encounter? When you do your work very well, and you need to say, okay, at this this is what the pore pressure is going to do. And of course, that's when the engineer will come. Okay, I think we can accommodate this length of a hole in a single well. And of course, where will be changing. So these are very, very important things that the pore pressure specialist will need to provide for you. How confident are we? So one of the things that we do recently, is the way I work, is that we associate confidence level to every whole session. If you have a lot of data and you probably treat that data pretty much most of the time, you can say, okay, at least 70% of the time your pore pressure is going to fall within most likely as well. So these are some of the questions at least that we answer. So by integrating geology, logs, seismic, offset, and drilling parameters. So like I said earlier, we look at it, okay, your pore pressure is going to come at P50, probably 80% of the time. So those are some of the questions that we answer. So planning right and value before we spot is very, very important, because when you have everything right, I think it's very, very difficult. A lot of things to fall in place for you, to be honest. And recently, in fact, it does happen that we really well, and funny enough, we don't have enough materials. This is how to play, to be honest. Mistakes do happen, but we do not have enough materials on the rig to be able to spot. So they have to a day offshore in Gulf of Mexico. What is the Gulf of America? In Gulf of Mexico can cost you almost, like I said, almost $100 million. So that's very, very important and we need to take into consideration. Wherever pore pressure, creates, early value, and it is properly in your casing design as well. Realistic mud weight and design. In fact, I don't know, for whatever reason, we look at it that when we increase mud weight or when we drill excessively over balance, that's money when it's not necessary. And some people say, oh, at least just want to play safe. At times, at least we increase the mud weight from 10.5 to 10.5 to 12 at times. When it's not necessary, that's money. We may not look at it as something that is important, but that's a lot of money. I can tell you that. Selection of drilling strategy as well, whether you're going to use a conventional or MPD, that's very, very important as well. And there are abundance of over design and unnecessary contingencies as well. So if you plan very well, I know that uncertainties do happen. But again, if you have to introduce contingency liner when you don't plan for it, at least that's additional money. These are involved in the before the employer was, whereby they have to introduce the contingency liner into the well operation. That's extra, like between $3 to $5 million dollars extra that are planned. So, but when a pore pressure expert is involved early in the operation, I think the chances of it at least being introduced into the well operation is going to be minimal as well. So, cost impact, fuel casing shrink, which of course we're going to be talking about in time. Reduce well in the complexity as well, and lower material and rig related. So these are sort of, I'm just giving more like a level set. So cost of getting it wrong, like I said earlier, 1 day of how much you're going to pay a pore pressure test, or incorporate a specialist into your process, and it can save you a lot of money as well. Or the pore pressure, that is the MPT and type. Over pore pressure losses, pipe and pressure damage. So in reality, a single wrong pressure assumption costs millions of dollars, especially in this part of the world. So that's very important. So early detection, we're going to go into more like a training monitoring now. And people does not stop when you spot. So active monitoring is very, very important as well. And for everybody, some of our friends there, they are pore pressure expert. In drilling operation, like I used to say, it's like a closed system. If it is not going as you plan, then something is going on. You don't have to be an expert when you're drilling, you just have to tell an expert. So that's the easiest way to avoid a lot of unnecessary pore pressure related. Especially when you have PWD niveau, and the four things that came in, these are first indicators of pore pressure changes in the well, right? So, and of course, detection pore pressure around before the gate, and some well will give you indicators of, they will tell you what the well is telling you. So, but that depends on if you are knowledgeable enough to see, this thing. Okay, what is, if you have to, for instance, you know that something the well is telling you about something. Probably you are overbalanced or underbalanced. The well will tell you something. And the business value for that is the early action costs less than late reaction. What that means is that when you address it on time, probably you need to cut down your mud weight a little bit. It's far better than where you have to get into the losses, then you have to introduce a lot of additive to be able to cure your losses. So which is very important. Okay. Again, early detection and late detection, of course. I just wanted to pick that at least how much they're going to pay, or how much you're going to pay. If you tell somebody that they need to increase mud weight, for example, you are getting the pressure, you get into a point whereby you're getting the pressure up. You're telling somebody which is probably just going to cost virtually nothing, then you have to get into a well control issue. I mean, recently involved in a well control issue whereby you have to spend quite a number of amount of money to be able to like. So minor operation changing, it's just going to change, like I said, just going to change, a little bit. We have, like I said earlier, we have a model, and it's not a model is just a model, like I said. And which of course you are going to be saying it because when you just come up with some model, and there's a lot of uncertainty inherently. So if you don't highlight some of these uncertainties, pore pressure specialist is going to build on that uncertainties as well So you are compounding some of these problems. So that's why, when you plan right and you have to engage the geology, petroserv engineer early enough, I think it's very, very helpful. And of course, leak detection of, if anything goes on with speed, well control event, lost times and losses and possible sidetrack. I hate this. There's one way that they give me an offset well to work on. We have 3 sidetrack and 3 bypass. Yeah, exactly. So, okay. So managing uncertainty, the same way for managing uncertainty. Pore pressure is about managing uncertainty as well. You are because there are some uncertainties that you cannot take away. You just have to look for a way to just work around it. So, and of course, when you have your P50, most likely pore pressure, binary education, you plan on that. And again, when you have your P10 and P90, what that means is that in case it goes, it goes lower or your focus go higher, do you have, for example, if you are working with P10, right? At least, items, and in case you have to increase your margin, do you have it on? It's not like, maybe it's not a place whereby you can just go and just introduce it, probably pay something. So, early readiness and preparedness is very, very important as well. So, you don't have, enough, what do you call it, materials on the way to address that. Very important. Management takeaways from that uncertainty is very unaffected. From what I've seen, you don't have to be 100% right. You just have to communicate with somebody. That in geology or in drilling operation, you can't be 100% right. So, but the area of concern is just to communicate it, so that, and if you don't have an answer, somebody with another skill can come up with a ready helps in bring closer to the optimum window, reduce excessive mud weight, like I said earlier, minimize ECD drilling losses, and improve ROP without compromising safety. That's the I would say this. Like one of my friends was telling me the other day, he said, "Oh, I would prefer to have losses than to have the flood." None of it is good if you plan right. At least you may think you have losses, you have a total losses, and you are able to control it well. Eventually, because that's money wasted. But if you have cake as well, whereby at least probably a lot of things damage when you get a cake, right? So you really want to be on the balance of both ends of the spectrum. The net effect of it is at least when you have a good planning strategy in place, you drill faster, lower mud cost, and again, fewer unplanned events. So that's very, very important. Okay. Cases insights, of course, predict pore pressure, predicted pore pressure ramp. That's some of the things that, a pore pressure, good pore pressure specialist will give you, where you likely have a pore pressure ramp as well. And of course, real-time monitoring confidence, if deviation will tell you, okay, if something is going outside what you planned, okay, this is what you need to do. That's very, very critical. And early adjustment, prevented, take part off and that alone, at least I was telling somebody earlier. I supported a well, at least thousands of miles away. And I was just watching the real-time process. This one just happened yesterday. And I just noticed something that just goes up, right? At least your standby pressure suddenly increase, your ROP just, suddenly drop. At least I just communicated with them. Shortly after that, they started having some strange, things over the shaker. So that's the importance of, real-time monitoring. You cannot now imagine if they have to get to a form whereby they got stopped. Not only that, because you can have both devices. One thing where I was on, they have the same thing at the same time. They got stopped and we're getting gases. So they have to be here for extended period of time trying to work the pipe on. So one day alone, like I said, I will always go back to it, is enough to pay for your pore pressure specialist to work or incorporate the pore pressure specialist into your well operation. Okay. Of course, it's a cross-functional, discipline too. Again, at least, when you are planning, and then you involve everybody together. You need to come and agree on it. again, like I said earlier, when I said that we have to agree on a well path 10, the reason being that, you know, a geologist they give us a well path, and I was looking at this well path, you are moving from a normal fault into a thrust fault in a single well path. There's no way you're going to do that well. And when you have a narrow margin, there's no way. So at least we have to revise the well trajectory to be able to accommodate completion strategy, not only the pore pressure, you know, forecast as well. And okay, and you know, of course, when you have everything in plan right, then you save this, you reduce, you know, cost, and not only that, I mean, you save the business a lot of money as well. So the business message was that people is a team and they plan, meaning that you know, after you do all the planning, all the analysis and all of that, you have to come to the point whereby if this well is really, I could remember in 2014, there's one well that we planned there, and we said this well is not drilled because we don't have a lot of data, at least in the Gulf of Mexico. And of course, you know, being a company already learned a lesson, we pursue something else. So in 2016, we revisited it again because we had a little bit of data, we were able to, you know, reduce our risk. What we thought our drilling margin was so low, we discovered that okay, it's not as close as we thought. Then, so that's why, you know, when you have a pore pressure, you know, especially that integrate this information into a well operation, I think you save a lot of not a lot of time, or save the business a lot of money. Okay. So what pore pressure stability is not, you know, at least, you know, it's not a single, you cannot give a single, for example, you are going through an interview, so okay, this is where your pore pressure is going to be. If you don't take an absolute number, probably, again, probably, especially in this, you cannot say, we don't give an absolute number for it. So, and not a, you know, not a guarantee against all incidents, right? Again, that's why we always put a caveat there. It's a range. We have at least, you know, P10, P50, and P90. So, and of course, you know, overall, all what we're trying to do is that because at the end of the day, we need to be honest about where we are, the kind of data that we have that we integrate together to be able to give us the well information as well. Okay. So I want you to picture this slide that I have on the board. I don't know whether it's clear enough. So there is a lot of growing complexity in PPE, you know, pore pressure operation, you know, and like I said earlier, the more data that we have now, we have to integrate it together. The more the way becomes complex. So you need somebody that will be able to look at it. Okay, oh, this data is not useful at this date, you know, and that's very important. So the way, you know, when complexity continues to increase, and we have more, you know, PTSD normally. Imagine you have to play through a depleted reservoir to get to your new target. Because like what the Madam President said earlier, some of the well now we have to drill deeper because they get more oil now down here than, you know, the saddle shelter to which they are producing from. They are done with that. So what you want to do, they want to drill deeper. So you have to go through the area whereby you explore, you know, whereby, you know, it's already been depleted. So you have to drill through that. So how do you manage that? Because I mean, the pore pressure began to get narrower and narrower, and you have to get to that one. So, you know, a pore pressure will be able to advise you on what to do, and you know, probably you have to isolate that section, drill it, image. In fact, there's one way that we drill within. We couldn't get past that section. We have to be just 2,000 feet alone, you know, on the different cases. Because what we thought, you know, we have at the bottom is far more than what, you know, that living interval is going to cost. So that's another area whereby, and if you try to combine within the same that interval where you have a depleted reservoir, you're going to have losses. If not losses, imagine if you lose almost 10,000 barrels. I've seen cases whereby you lost 10,000 barrels. 10,000 barrels is a lot of money to be just for their life. So within 2015 to 2016, just look at it. And the well are becoming more complex and more complex. So and that's what it is just trying to, I don't know if you can see, and it become more normal because we depleted this shallow section, then we want to go deeper, and we have to pass through the same area. There's no way. So and of course, this is what the corporation and engineer can come together. That's why I say we don't work inside. You know, we work together to be able to address some concerns you get into the Taye reservoir. So again, looking at this cartoon, well control, and a lot of circulation. I've said it, all of that, and in my in the presentation today, and where no problem. So these are issues that will move faith in the industry. And of course, we have pore pressure and geomechanics to be able to address some of these concerns as well. Okay. So web stability, and let me start with. And you can see we have chemical and we have mechanical as well. Chemical in terms of washer. I don't know if somebody will be hearing. We have the swelling shape, slurry shape, and remember, there was discussing with a friend of mine the other day. And he's saying, "Oh, what do they even call swelling shape?" I'm like, just look at it. You use water or you use a drilling mud to drill it well. And remember, this shape, at least they have their elements, right? And what your water is element, when they react together, at least there's a chemical reaction that is going on. So just look at it that way. So, and be able to get your answer. So that's what we call a reaction shape. And of course, we get into more mechanical. We're looking at the tensile, compression failure and plastic deformation as well. And again, when you get to the point whereby you have more circulation, this is how you look like. And meaning that you have more pressure in your hole than what the formation is telling you. If it's not carefully addressed, you're going to get to the point whereby you're going to have a lot of losses. Yeah. And of course, you get into compression, the situation whereby you have losses as well, but you have that in the shallow section. And you get to the point whereby you have a buckle whereby your well started to last in the blood. And there's one way that I was involved in that where we didn't know, like I said, uncertainties do happen. It doesn't mean that you can't write that you're not going to have issues. We cross our teeth or we dot our head, and it does happen. And we drill it to salt, and we drill to TD, and we come out of O and want to go back, and we couldn't go back again. And not only that, we now discovered that our case in bucket. So not that your pore pressure is not going to eliminate all your uncertainty, but at least it's going to keep you aware of it. So, okay, general cause of instability and incorrect mode weight. Just imagine if you have incorrect mode weight in the book. That is, your pore pressure is like 10 and you have like 8. You don't plan well. Definitely you're going to get into a work control issue. Poor planning and incorrect weight trajectory as well. Like I said earlier, in a single web, you can't just move from truss. In a single web, you can't move from number 4 to truss 4. I mean, you need to evaluate it, and you need to look at your orientation as well. Angle of intersection, that's very, very important as well. And problem with drilling practice as well. And again, driller made mistake. I will say this. There's one way that I was involved in, and it's not the corporation, it's not geology, it's the drilling problem. So, and how do you recognize that? At least, not until I was able to bring they gave me the data in depth. I said, no, I did it in time. What were you doing at this time? And I presented to them, and they were like, oh, they just went back. In the meeting, when we're doing here, they just kept quiet and they just went into the yeah. So these are good whereby at least you can project specialty in your area. Okay. Stability problem, excessive rock stress, excessive web pressure as well, and reactive shape, because like I said earlier. And our resulting condition is okay. And some of these issues, and because of experience, we can actually address some of these, some of the issues. Some of the issues that we think we're going to encounter, some of us will already provide, because some of these problems, they are not new problems. Then, at least how were they able to address it? So we can actually address some of these issues when we know that we're going to encounter them. Yeah. And of course, when we do all of that, when we did do all of that, we increase our operation cost as well. And not only that, we increase, every other, cost that associated to the well. Okay. So understanding the condition that cause the well stability as well. If you don't plan right, again, you're going to result into that. Again, like I said earlier, and any detection of warning. Again, drilling operation is the closed system. So when you are seeing something that is going out of range, then again, like I said, you don't have to be an expert, you just have to test somebody. Because we don't expect it to work, we don't work in 4 hours at a time, but if somebody sees something that, that's why you need to do a prep of your team that, okay, and if you are going to work shift when it comes to detection, if you see something that is going out of it, just say something. I think it's going to ultimately help. And for contingency plan to prevent progression of the problem. Again, when you like I said earlier, if you are, it doesn't mean that your corporation is going to come at peak end, but at least in case, because especially when you have a lot of data to support that, plan you have enough modules on ready to be able to accommodate that. Not that, oh, you now discover if you need additional module, you have to say, oh, you think we have a problem. It doesn't work that way. Okay, summarizing the geological model of certainty. So, right, I'm going to walk through some of the area where because when you started having problems is when the geology come up with model, right? Okay, we have this target. How do you come? Model, I'm not thinking again. Okay, so again, just look at this thing. These are two people looking at the same time, looking at a different picture. The same picture, but this guy is seeing something, this guy is seeing different thing, but it's the same geological features, right? So again, that's why you need to come together as an expert when you're planning to drill a well to say, okay, at least bring your own idea, bring your own thought, and let's incorporate it together so that we're able to have a successful drilling operation. Yeah. Okay, so two professionals are like the same area, using different data there. So that's the cartoon I'm just trying to show here. And of course, this is different thing. So risk emerge when we don't incorporate this information together. All right. So that's why it's always very, very important. That is, we are working time when we're planning a well, we don't plan a well in 1 month. We plan way, way, way behind, right? And this is more like a laptop, right? And let's assume that this is the resource office, right? And you see, of course, this is schematic, the process. But what you can do is that private is consistent. I mean, private will gain 4,000 to 5,000 because that's what will be successful. Okay, you plan this way, these were 3. And before you subtract, simply because and you couldn't pay for that again. So you already some of these answers to some of our questions, they are already in place. But you need somebody to be able to interpret. And the recently come. So that's the advantage involving your work in different and provide
It's good now. Okay. Yeah, so these are some of the things that we can provide you, and whole session, risk and recommendations as well, and of course, definitely based on what we've seen in the other web. And of course, like I said earlier, if you are able to provide, any recommendation, and we can give you, okay, at least in this section, you'll be able to do this section without any issue. So, and again, say it's not active anymore. This thing doesn't move for us.
I have to recast it.
Oh, okay.
John, you might have to recast it.
I don't even know where it is.
Yes, there's a short before.
Oh, okay. I think it's it.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, and again, what we did for that section, that we'll be able to provide, based on what we've seen, and provide some recommendation as well. Again, like I said earlier, they got stuck in the previous section, and what could have, I don't know, what could have been an ideal thing is that to look at the kind of beat that was used that was successful in that way. What we thought then was we just had the wrong beat in hope. They just have the wrong beat in goal. Now imagine it cost them almost 2 weeks of doing nothing because they have the wrong beat in goal. So, and of course, when we evaluate, we know that, okay, at least I think they could have done a better job with the beat runs. Of course, ensure regular wiper trip as well. That part of the world, the whole cleaning issue is the problem, and that they really don't care. I'm like, okay, you look at the ECD, you look at where you are in your fracture gauge, this doesn't make sense. So, and of course, when the issue observed, at least we tell them, okay, this is what happened. So you have to work And that's the problem when the well team are not part of your your planning. If they are part of your planning, I think you carry them along right from onset, and it will be easy for them to understand the risk and your recommendation earlier on. And of course, maintain rig equipment and spare time. In fact, I would say there's one way that again, there's a different story. And very big company. And you know what happened? We have a wrong centralizer on the way. And like I said, issue do happen. And I'm not going to sit here and say big company doesn't have the issue. Can you imagine you want to drill a well, at least we plan almost at least 150 million for that well, offshore, Gulf of Mexico, and we have the wrong centralizer. And when they lower the file and that this couldn't go in. So it does happen, but that's why you have somebody to be able to look at these things, but the engineer will bring it at, okay, what kind of specification do you have? And of course, like we said earlier, when we do the AI, I say, well, somebody has to get fired with, with this information. Yeah. So again, and of course, balance, motorway motor and reliability. The offset well that we review on that well, we know that they have pump problem. So that's another area whereby, it's not only using the petrophysical analysis to come up with your pump pressure, but you review the drilling mechanics, drilling information. That's very, very important as well as the pump pressure specialist. Right. So, in fact, what we use to get the drilling engineer from the people that I was telling you is because they don't have the good drilling practice. And we just have to go to the time data. Our pump pressure is okay. We have to go to the time data to be able to okay. What we are doing here is absolute concept. Yeah. Okay, at least of course, running ego with the casing as well, that's another area. So we provide recommendation on okay, when you're running your casing as well, you need to look at the speed time as well. I've seen cases whereby you were running in one, we're running so far, and it's something well, and that's when it started having losses. Or the well buckled again, you're unable to get your casing to depth as well. So these are some of the issues that you can encounter. Formation and lithology recommendation, at least for this section I was telling you, these are some of the recommendations that we provided the team. Anticipate interbedded shale and stuff so that they are not going to get surprises when they are seeing the different carriers over the shakers as well, over the shaker rather. And of course, observe lithology, alternating shale and sand, of course, watch for tight comparison shale. So because we drill and we have a mud logger, quantify what we have in the offset, we'll be able to kind of like debate and create some of these horizons across the prospect area as well. So okay, reactive shale, because they have an issue on the offset where we're able to say, okay, you may likely have these issues, right? So and again, continue on that. So casing above the transition zone. So one of the things that we did was that we highlighted a transition zone whereby you will not be able to accommodate this whole section in a single wellbore, because that's where your onset of our pressure started. There's no way you're going to do that. So we advise them, and probably you need to stop it and pick up another whole section to be able to drill to TD. Otherwise, you are getting almost at the static at the upper section, and just at the bottom as you cross probably into the Akata formation, you are getting almost 13 PSI. Listen, there's no way you want to do that section successfully. So because you have to increase your mod rate. And a key objective here is that they prevent well control incident, at least when you have a well monitoring team on board, anticipate the transition zone and above normal pressure as well, optimize the mod weight. So at least you'll be able to increase your mod weight where you know that you have enough tolerance wing weight. And how do you do that? And when you involve, you can only come away when you involve an pump pressure specialist on the regular as well. Improve real-time decision making to reduce NPT. I cannot stress this thing the way. But I've seen cases currently now that our pump pressure is quite different from what we're getting. In fact, it's almost like we started. But when you have a real-time pump pressure expert on the rail, even though if the petrophysical data is not working, be able to use your drilling parameter. Because what is your weight on beat telling you? What is your hook load telling you? They are giving you some information about your weapon as well. You may not know. So that's why we need somebody that is knowledgeable to be able to help us quantify what the pump pressure is saying. Yeah, and of course, key monitoring parameters, of course, like ROP. Even there's one way that I was involved in this high temperature and high pressure as well. I think when we got to like 22,000 feet, and we know that we lost communication with the head of the unit. So we have the option whether to come out of vote, change the BHA and go back. And we only have probably less than 1,000 feet to go. So we did our model, and we know that I think if you follow, you may not know, I'm like, okay, I think we can actually use, because we correlate our drilling exposure. We know that it's consistent with what we have. And now imagine they have to come out of vote from 22,000 feet, come out of vote and go back in. That's a lot. Of course, we have the spare on the rig, right? And that's a lot of cost saving. Like I said earlier, the amount or engaging the pore pressure specialist on the rig, you may not see it immediately, but when it saves you 1 day or 2 days, you already pay for it. Yeah. And of course, I have another way here whereby I try to disclassify it as much as possible. We call it the Nebraska prospect, and I want to drill somewhere around here. And you can see at least we have a lot of data here and data here as well. And that's what at least we do. And of course, we have the sorting. So the target here is at least we're drilling up deep of this one and some similar structure on this one as well. So we assume that probably we may likely get a high pressure here, because not only that we are the base of salt, not only that at least we drill okay, whereby we likely have the same product. So and of course, what we did was and this is this is the deep angle, right? And look at the strike angle to the well as well. And this is the some of the analog that we used, and you have this one, which is pretty close. But trust me, this one is pretty close, but you would think it's the most. But remember, we have some faults here. That's why you need to have an expert on it. At least we have some fault here which actually discommunicates every information that you have here to your prospect area. So, and of course, we did the pore pressure analysis, and of course, these are some of the, we recreate the well. What we actually do is that we recreate the well itself. For example, they drill this way. We incorporate each of those information into the well bore, into the well schematic. That okay, if you have to drill the same well now, how is it going to be? So that's exactly what we did, and of course, we come up with a reasonable schematic of what the well was telling you based on the well event. So, and of course, the second one, this is how it look like, and which is Kansas 2 PPFG analysis. And of course, we're able to drill the Nebraska prospect with no issue. So, and of course, this is the most likely pore pressure at the end of the day that we provided them. And of course, potential high risk as well. So we incorporate some of the drilling event that they had in other wells, and what we think might likely happen based on the structure as well, to say, okay, you are not going to get the same replica, because the offset well that we thought it was closer, because of the fault in between them, it may likely not be. So we have to project some of the pressure from the one beneath, which is shallow, which is deeper structure, into this one as well. So as you can see, at least at the base of soil, you can see that we have more like a high pore pressure here as well. So yeah, that's some. So some of the take home here that I want to share with you is that planning right actually save the company a lot of money, at least when you're on a fixed budget as well, and which is for at least a small here and P, or at least a big one as well. Early detection is cheaper than well control, and pore pressure optimized caused by reducing uncertainties. Pressure management is a business. Risk management, again, I cannot say this alone, because I've seen cases whereby when you lose, when you have losses, that's a lot of money that you don't even see, and of course it ultimately goes into the balance sheet as well. So the question is not whether we can afford the pore pressure prediction. It is whether we cannot afford not to have the pore pressure specialist on drill. So at least I want to stop here anyway. If you have any questions, so that at least we can talk about it together. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That you will agree with me that was quite, mind blowing. It was extremely fascinating, and I'm sure you're bubbling with questions you'd like to ask. So we have we have some time for questions and answers. But before we do that, we would like to acknowledge the presence of some of our fellows that are here today. So we have some distinguished persons in our midst, fellows of the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists. We have some online and some present in the room. So I'll start with those online. So we recognize the presence of Dr. Anthony Ufoma, who is the current president-elect of NAPI. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us, even at wee hours in Nigeria. We have Mr. Emmanuel Igbele, FNAPI, who is the current vice president of NAPI. Thank you very much for joining. And Mr. Femi Eson, FNAPI, who is also joining us online. Thank you, Lord, for joining us online, Mr. Eson. And present in the room, we have some fellows as well, and I would like to acknowledge their presence here. So we have Mr. Tola Adeogba, FNAPI. He's a former general manager onshore shelf exploration, SPDC. You're welcome, sir. And we also have Professor Olufemi Babalola Kabesi, the subsurface petroleum industry expert with over 40 years experience. We have a lot of experience in the house today. You're welcome, sir. And also we have Mr. Ernest Onya. He's a retired drilling engineer from Conoco Phillips. If I were you, I would really spend time with him after this meeting. He has about 35 years experience in drilling, engineering, and he holds multiple patents in drilling. So you should do well to engage him. And then we also have present with us today, Dr. Mrs. Oluseyi Afolabi. She retired as Executive Director of ExxonMobil in Nigeria. She has over 40 years experience in reservoir engineering. Another person you got in allow sleep balance to do. All right, thank you very much. So with that, we can proceed to questions and answers. I can see quite a number of questions online. So people are really ready for you this week. Okay, that's right. Yeah. So what we'll do is that we'll take very quickly some of the questions online, then we'll come to the room. There are a lot of pore pressure experts in the room, so I can't wait to hear all the contributions. We'll start with questions online. So if you just give me a minute. Are you able to project them?
Yeah. The question specifically.
Yeah, I'll just read them out. Yeah. No problem. Okay, first question. So this is from Mr. Femi. Okay. So he's saying here that often the focus is on depleted reservoirs. Can you elaborate on the potential hazards while passing through reservoirs that have been water flooded?
Water flooded. Okay.
Maybe I should have put this last.
For me, when you say water flooded, most of the question that I would say is that we have the depleted reservoir, right? And whether it's flooded or not flooded, I'm not sure. But for me, I think I would say to isolate that section would be the most appropriate. For me, for example, if it is probably TD, the previous section shallower, then it may even be a 1,000 feet, right? Isolated. If you look at it, consistently get an issue with that interval. Instead of you now, have an issue for almost 2, 3, 4 weeks. Throwing an extra case there, I don't think it's going to hold down having well controlled. In fact, it can even be more catastrophic if you lose your well because of that interval. So, like I said, you said there's a lot of pore pressure experts in the room. I said, but for me, what I've asked in Pampa is that we're depleted because we get our carbon out of that place. Not actually we're flooded with water. So, if anybody wants to have an input in that, I think I welcome. For me, that's what I will completely isolate that section. Okay, and be able to drill for them. Any input from the room? You give a thumbs up. Okay, you got thumbs up. Oh, okay, right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We also have Mr. Dayo Adebayo, subject matter expert for pressure with Chevron, is in the room. I'm sure he'll make some contributions in the course of time. Okay, next question online. To access deeper stratigraphic sequences, this is from Rosina Basharon. She's asking that to access deeper stratigraphic sequences, wells must be drilled to great depths, which now requires passing through zones that have been severely depleted by hydrocarbon production. Please provide guidance on how drilling pressure can be effectively managed when drilling through severely depleted zones with low formation pressure.
Well, just like I said, we deal with that a lot. It depends on how depleted is it. We use the stress gauge formulations as well to drill some of those intervals. And again, like I said, we isolate it. If we know that it's going to give a lot of problem, we isolate it. At least currently now, I'm on a way whereby at least we're using a heavy stress gauge materials. At least built in Trinidad and in Gulf of Mexico here, and because their pressure, especially in Trinidad, is almost hydrostatic, right? And they have to, of course, get through that to be able to get the deeper section. What we do is that we isolate that section, or we have a heavy, what do you call it, in stress gauge materials in order to be able to do that section. So that's what we've been doing, lately. And again, like I said earlier, I have one way that everybody will say it's a waste of money, but we know what we can get deeper, whereby we have to isolate almost a 2,000 feet on a different casing string. So yeah. Yeah. So again, just to summarize that, your geomechanics team, they have to look at what kind of particle is going to be enough to be able to plug it, that section, or if it is not, then isolate it completely. That's what you need there. So, because that's where you need to look at your depletion estimate as well. Reservoir engineer have to come together. Okay, what's your depletion estimate? If it is now, or if it's going to be in the future, and what's the degree of your subsidence as well? Because as you produce, your reservoir go through secondary porosity as well. They get more compacted subsidence. So they need to calculate all of that to be able to come up with. In fact, we've seen cases whereby the stress gauge material doesn't even work as well. So, these are very, very important that geomechanics and pore pressure have to get involved to be able to assess the deeper section and isolate the section that you're talking about. Okay. In case anybody in house wants to have any,
You've already you've answered most of the questions. Or in addition to that, you could actually run a simulation to kind of understand the amount of pressure that being dissipated while during production or post production, and use that to calibrate your fracturing rate. Whether you can see
Yeah, and there's something that we use recently now. If you have your stress gauge material to watch what extent can you strengthen that formation. That's what we call achievable fracture grade. We have more depleted one, but when you have the stress gauge formation, to what extent can you strengthen it as well. Again, I want to say this: pore pressure scale is not a one person, scale. It's everybody, to be honest. Everybody have an input in it. And if you can imagine, when we plan the well, at least, I think you can attest to it. At least, the room at times it could be like half of it, and we're trying to plan the well. So everybody come together to have an input, because at the end of the day, we're working towards the same goal, to be able to drill a successful well, so that at least we can plan more well. So,
Okay. Thank you very much for that, sir. So we will now turn the attention to the room. So if you have questions, please, the floor is open. I will start from Magido, then I will come to you, sir. Because I know your question is going to be.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Adeniyi. So my question for Segun is, the bulk of the presentation has been on adjacent offset well control. So what happened in the frontier exploration, like Uruguay, Southern Brazil, Namibia? What is the role of EPFG in frontier exploration?
I didn't do that. Really?
Yeah, I think the only thing, we rely on, first of all, just like I showed you earlier, we rely on seismic, right? From seismic, you do some modeling. From modeling, then you look at what are the inherent rates associated with, seismic, right? I mean, seismic cannot probably can't see more than anything below probably 10 feet or so. So you need to look at identify every tool that you are using. Probably you use seismic, you are using the modeling, right? What is the risk associated with it? And that's why you have to basic modeling, yeah, like I said, basic modeling, people use it as well. But for me, what I've used so far, like I said, trying to assess one, I just said Gulf of Mexico, whereby we don't have a lot of, in fact, the first one that was built, I think was built in 1970, and they got a kick as well, right? And they abandoned it. Now it's adjacent to our well that probably like a few miles away. And when we started developing the southwest extension of that field, we started getting data. Then we now noticed that our risk started decreasing. We started mapping. Of course, you can reprocess your seismic as well, give more illumination into it, whether they correlate across the board as well. So that's you just have to make use of what you have, right? And of course, as time goes on, we have more data, then you're able to reduce your risk. Okay, I think this one is related. Some of these related to events as well, you can relate it. And of course, one that you grade that is not successful, there's always something to learn. Of course, we don't pray for any issue to happen, but if you have teeth in it, that it's telling you something, right? And if it's 1 mile away or 17 miles away or 20 miles away, then you can impart some information as well. But again, to answer your question, you rely on seismic, you look at the limitation of the seismic, where you can deal with it or not. And that's why if you're going to a frontier environment like that, that's why real-time monitoring is very, very important. Not that is very, very crucial. Okay. Basic modeling and real-time operation is very, very important. And seismic, yes.
Thank you very much.
Segun, an excellent presentation.
Yes, sir.
And my name is Ernest Onya. For those of you who don't know me, I spent 5 years on this topic in the oil and gas industry of chemical and pharmaceuticals. Before my retirement in 2016, I thought I would retire. Because I'm probably called. Namibia, I did the work on that. Present this topic. Come back to one of the reasons I came here is to really contribute to you towards your topic on the economic impact of pore pressure prediction. I think you focus more on drilling and aspects of drilling but before drilling in exploration, you mentioned also basin modeling. Pore pressure plays a key role in that, and it has significant financial value. Then look at my notes, in farming, when you farm into the project, other companies, you will invariably be asked, can this well be drilled? What is the maximum pressure of the encounter in this well? And those questions will prompt you to think about what size of equipment you will need. You need 15K, 10K BOP, what that tree do you need, on and off. And then when you put all the costs together, you may say, oh, we don't want to get into this farming. It's too expensive. There are too many risks in it. So I think you may need to capture that in your future presentations on this. In drilling, I spent most of my career in drilling, all of it. I've written papers, the software you're using now, preview, all of them. I started the first program for pore pressure prediction. I developed the diameter research. It morphed into preview with Mark Ackerman, and then on and on. So it gives me great joy to see those slides. And it took me back to 1988 when I was working on that dynamical research with Martin Trevor and the rest. In the other thing area, you need to emphasize, I'm not telling you what to do, please. I'm giving you some input, is the cost related to safety and environment. Okay. You mentioned Macondo.
Yeah.
Those of you who had BP stock in those days, I think BP was trading about 69. They dropped to $19 per share. Your 401k evaporates. Okay, so that's an economic impact. You need to capture that safety. When you have an uncontrolled event where the pressure sees the surface, people's lives are at risk. So you can't put financial value on that. For example, in the United States, I remember some years ago, way back, they had a blowout in Louisiana near the Long Bridge at Chapalaya. That highway was shut down for almost 2 weeks. Okay, and everybody was routed south of Louisiana back there and then to Houston. So this is a very serious business. Yes, it requires communication among various disciplines. Even in real time on the rig, with personnel on the rig, they need to be talking to each other. That when the problem comes up, you are the one left alone standing. Always. But we are certain, know your topic, and when you think you've done the right thing, defend it and stand by it. Nobody will run you off. They may threaten you, that you will stand once you're right. Nobody will remember you when you're right. So, my friend, everyone, both those online and those in this room, this is a very rewarding technical area, subject area to be working in. But it can be brutal. Okay, it can be brutal. And thank you very much. Stay in touch.
Thank you. Let me just add to that, and again, what's it? Okay, I'll meet a lot of things, but look at the direction to which it came out, right? Some of these, and even as an expert, people have hiding everything 100%. So that's why it has to be a collective responsibility. Again, we are all working together to achieve a common goal. So that's not what I just want to add. Not that I want to just more like a support to what you said. You see, I didn't even capture a lot of things. There's quite a number of things that are being because just like you said, my friend that attended to BP stock is still selling less than 50 or 50. I'm serious. I mean, some of us like that. Right. Yeah. So yeah. Which is not what the counterpart like Exxon, Shell, and they are doing. So, and I think this industry is not forgiving. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Taye here, but exploration is the core. That's for the past 42 years. I just want to support everything you've said today. It's a brilliant presentation, but I want to bring a bit of perspective or exploration into this whole what we're saying today, especially what Dennis said. From the explorationist perspective, frontier areas or near field exploration or a four block to the field that you're already producing and you want to add volumes into it. Everything is about adding the new volume, be it from frontier, be it from the field. But the question is what we call the realization of that volume. That means I have to drill it, but you have to drill it successfully. And then you have to also put it in such a way that you drill it optimally by not spending the company's money in such a way that by the time you get the hydrocarbon, you spend the whole money. So the point is, that's where pore pressure prediction comes in very, 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 very topical. So it's one thing for my geologists and geophysicists to identify that volume that we need to go for it. It's another thing to go for our well engineers to say, we can drill it, But then along the way, we hit the high pressure or we hit the depletion, and then we get into the loss of gain situation. And then we spend another couple of weeks trying to do that. And then we lose a lot of money. At the end of the day, you stop and you don't really get to your exploration objectives. And these are practical examples on the table that I want to tell you. That in KI, we didn't even get to the reservoir we're going for. It was just coming out of hole that we drew in gas and we had an explosion. 18 lives lost. 18 lives. So it's for reality. And then there was another well, Orogo, drilled by Shell also. We went away very deep, but we put in gas. By the time we knew it, the rig was on fire. But at that same time, the club in Wally was running. The fire station were addressing the club. They couldn't go to the well. So almost the well was on the ground. So this is real. It is not just what you discussed. It's for real. So it's important for us to do that separation prediction. And I'm just scared for our new entrepreneurs that are going to the oil industry. They probably think oil and gas business is just going to the market, line and sell and make your profit. No, all these things need to be done for prediction. So I want to come back to the reality. So for frontier exploration, the key for frontier exploration for where we've been in a long while is that your seismic information, your geological model, and then your crop pressure prediction is important. So the key is the link to in terms of doing your seismic evaluation properly and recreating your geological model. And if a basic model needs to be done, it has to be done. And then you plug it all together to make sure the plumbing works. And at the end of the day, when you do your plumbing, it's still a little of uncertainty in terms of where you do your crop pressure prediction. And then using all the data that you have on the table is key. Your seismic velocity, your offset, the geological model, the geophysical model, your velocity model, you put all of them together. It's quite important. So it's a continuous topic, and I think the technology is also getting better and better. But at the same time, where we're going to is getting more complex and more complex. Yeah. So it's going to be an effort. Thank you.
By the way, you can tap those brains in this text energy.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can take 2 more questions. Okay.
GDI now, Chairman. I'm just going to go back to some of the questions you had online about drilling through the pictures of course. So my question is, what is your experience with using techniques such as managed pressure drilling and to kind of de-risk those people?
Oh yeah. Well, we are, at least, it's what we're currently working on now that we're using it, and of course, it's very effective, right? And we use it currently. We deploy it currently, and the only thing is that, like I said, it's not only you having the tool, it's you knowing how to use it. That's very, very important because we got somebody in the Winter Resource Center that doesn't know how does some of these things work, right? When you look at where your hardcore point is going to be. So that's very, very important. Having somebody, we have new technology here, but having somebody that have experience to be able to use it, not to read every little information about it. At least I have a slide, I have a different presentation for that. I don't want us to take with I don't want the students to go further than what is going on. But I have experience that is very useful, very important, and if the company can afford it as well to have it on the way, that's very important.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And maybe our last question, because you're first today.
Yeah, excellent presentation, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, my question or my comment is centered around other application of pore pressure prediction outside drilling. Yeah, because it's very important, everybody has already said, but currently I work in exploration and I'm actually using pore pressure as a critical tool or information to kind of make exploration decision and the risk prospects, particularly in the aspect of understanding carbon distribution in the basin. Because nowadays, especially in the Gulf of Mexico, in the mature basins, all the easy prospects have been drilled. Now, we are trying to be smarter and try to understand the fluid dynamics, as well as try to incorporate pore pressure and geomechanics to address reservoir quality issues. Those are all inherent problems in the industry that you actually leverage application of pore pressure prediction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can still send in questions. I know you probably still have questions, and we'll pass them on to the presenter, and I'm sure they'll get back to us. We have your contacts out there. Okay, yes. Well,
I'm not sure how many reservoir engineers are in the room, but maybe something about paradigm shift. Most of the time in the exploration phase, there are not too many reservoir engineers working with the explorations. In mature basins, maybe, but other exploration, real exploration phase, the reservoir engineers from, I think there's something that we can do in the industry about bringing them in at the beginning.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's very important. And on a few times that I've been involved in exploration planning, and I think I would say this, as everybody knows, I work in BP, so probably it may be industry to industry, right? But in BP, I think we have more multidisciplinary team working together right from onset. It may not be where they are scoping, probably looking for the well trajectory, but when they actually learn the well trajectory, looking at okay, what can we get from here? What kind of, if you said okay, it's going to be vacuum pressure, right? So how is it going to quantify into the overall, well planning? So I think we have some cases whereby they involve probably, not at the later end, but before we actually frozen the well planning, they kind of like involved in it, and they take a look at it. But of course, when it comes to the where I'm already producing from, of course, calculate of depletion estimates, they look at it, okay, how does it affect you? But a few times whereby I'm involved in exploration plan, they come around, they offer their input, we incorporate in all the steps. There's really nothing they can give at that point, just like you said, yeah. But that's what they assume. Like I said, that's what they assume. Yeah. But at least their input is, when we tell them that it's vacuum pressure, we don't have any. So we kind of like look at it, okay, how is it going to play into the core pressure plan? And of course, they offer their input, we need to incorporate them. And of course, some of those were now, I think it's coming on like pretty soon.
I think also at the exploration phase, the reservoir engineers play a role in the profiles and rates.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's why I said they support us, Yeah, they support us.
all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, we'll have to move a little bit fast now so we can wrap up. So this event is sponsored by a company called Integral Petroserv Limited. And I would like to invite the chairman of Integral Petroserv, in the person of Mr. Taye Akewusola, to make some remarks. But while he's doing that, and while you're clapping, please also give a round of applause for our presenter for doing an excellent job today.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Chairman, well done. Jumoke has told me that I should make it brief. We'll try to, without keeping you, too long sitting, and in fact, for the sake of HSC, we shouldn't be sitting too long. Thank you everyone once again for coming. I'll quickly try to brush through these slides. Well, we all know the ringleader here. You okay? Thank you very much. I call her the ringleader. She actually tried chasing me up and down from Lagos back to Houston. Well done. Thank you. Well done. Well done. The choice of today's presentation, actually, previously from ExxonMobil, Chevron, and First AMP, and now doing my own stuff now. And we see a lot of opportunities, in Nigeria. And like
our guy you rightly said there, with respect to the new entrants in this EMP, in Nigeria. I mean, it's scary, some of the things you see. And it also, you try to interact with these people from the perspective of skills, things that need to be out of cost saving. I mean, most times more of penny wise, pounds foolish. That's what you see most times. There you go.
I'm gonna walk.
Okay. Okay. See you. So now Segun has spoken, incredibly on some of these things that we really seen. The reason why I actually brought in some of the project was some of the MPT that we saw, right here. I mean, most times you see this, I say this is a plan, beautiful. Then when we drill, hey, there's always a huge gap. And in fact, sometimes, we even double the plant cost, and then you begin to wonder why, and we can always give all kinds of reasons for that. But the bottom line is not efficient. We can do better than this. And for me, the essence is there's opportunities here, for the industry, especially to, like I said, industry competitiveness. So because you see a lot of money that ordinarily should have been saved and kind of being spent in a way that is kind of not efficient at all. So again, I call this speaking the same language. But when we brought in Segun, one of these things we see, the well engineer especially, some of these guys are young, brilliant, smart, but most times we're not working, efficiently and brilliantly as opposed to the resources in the team. And what we see from the subsurface G&G and the engineer, including the reservoir engineer, they're in a different world. And the challenge is who take the front seat here. We're not competing. It's easier said when we say, hey, we are working for the bottom line. I see conflicting interests and among the team, and it shouldn't happen. So I mean, I just draw these pictures. We know in the drill world, many people, professional, contribute to that. But the bottom line is somebody has to take the front seat, and we shouldn't debate that. The well engineer, drilling engineer, or whatever. The bottom line is that guy needs to recognize all the functions that give you input. And that is, most times you see people who really have that, kind of integrated experience, the result is always very incredible. You win, I mean, in fact, you will be happy as a professional finding such a person. If sometimes even the chairman, now that we have, some entrepreneurs and all that driving this, and you will be happy because it makes your job easier for you. Then the other thing I see is there's no competition here, but in the drill well execution and even planning, there's needs to I see the geoscientists kind of being fizzled out in that shape, and it's really costing the industry a lot of money. And well, one of the instances is even in functional alignments, runs the well, we'll talk about that. Now the next thing is well planning versus well design. Are they the same? Ordinarily, shouldn't be. They should be, yes. But I think it started around mid-90s. Prior to that time, the way we plan wells, we just take the coordinates of the targets, you give it to the well engineer, the design, come back and forth, we go back and forth, very inefficient. At some point, the geoscience toolkit was improved upon, so we now have integrated well planning tool. And it saved us a lot of time, it was incredible. And when I started doing, independent stuff, it was a tough game trying to tell people are still doing the same thing and it was not efficient. And you just have to go through, it can be very, very frustrating. So that we don't do this again. Let's in a company I was driving their development, my geoscientist doesn't know anything about well planning. So we have to know it has moved, the industry has moved, but even the well engineer was like, no, just give me the target. I'll get back to you. No, we don't do that anymore. So please, I see a lot of opportunity, cost saving, times, making us more efficient and smarter as we are, we are basically. So for me, well trajectory planning strictly should be a geoscience. It's an integrated effort. Going precision engineer, geoscientists working, and then when it comes to well design, and I plan well that the well engineer, the drilling engineer were so happy because they had nothing to do again. It fit perfectly, and there was this fantastic. And those tools we have today, they are fantastic too. It took me time, but I think we are able to, get this guy to understand. And again, what is the impact on operations? I see a lot of drilling cost overrun, target optimization, and there was a particular case of mixed completion interval. They had a huge gas cap, and they were targeting the oil rim. In the course of the drilling, there was some debt tally arising from well engineering operations. And for some reason, even with that, and that's why just integrated efforts and being conscious of what is going on country. So even with that, it was difficult after we left, because we have handed over the well, and for some reason they went into the gas and they couldn't complete that interval for a lot of millions of dollars was wasted. It shouldn't happen. So for me, we have some estimate that today, if we want to run the industry the way it should be, because the technology, has moved, integrated, reservoir characterization, the tools, we should be saving nothing less than 30% today in the operational cost of some of the drills I've seen. Thank you. Well, I'll try to be very, this very busy slide. We'll talk about frontier exploration. Sometime last year, I was invited to facilitate these well classification guidelines. And we have our partner, the NUPRC, in attendance. And the challenge was, and for me, I didn't even know, even though I spent like almost 30 plus in the industry, that the way classification guideline we're using was, rolled out in 1977. And it was like 1 plus 2, And then this is a no-brainer that today it does not fit anymore. Because if you look at the established hydrocarbon interval, and nearby, there are a lot of these, unpenetrated sections, but because you have exhausted your so-called 1 plus 2, so that entirely fall into a new exploration. And the other thing was deep blue, which is back to the question on front. This actually falls into exploration, but the classification doesn't cover this. So we talk to, because for me, it's about the sleeping giants, from APG wrote some, papers from several years ago. Do we still have them? Multi-billion barrels, asset field. Where are they? Can we find them? Do we have them still in Nigeria? I want to believe there is, but we have to, kind of do things differently, So again, the regulators, they are looking into this. We also had the deep pool, exploration, which called they are looking at those. In fact, this is just example of what I worked. We have this well, discovery well, that passed through, several hydrocarbon interval, and as they are getting to TD, there was a kick, and as a result, they had to kill the well. And many years later, I think, we can, of course, the well was drilled before I was born, sorry. even though I'm heading to 60 now. So it's incredible that we've done, I mean, extensive exploration appraisal work, production work, and nobody ever looked into this again. So when we're looking at this, we realize this is very sizable, and there was, but based on the classification and based on the fact that the field itself, because we have all kinds of well here, so that would require some creative approach in order to unlock this opportunity. So let's move to the down basin. No, it's here. Don't go. Okay, it's there. Some years, I think about a year or so now, we have some well in Ogun State water side. They said the wells were flowing and were called blah, blah, blah. The bottom line is, this well was drilled about 120 years ago, during early exploration in Nigeria. And of course, after everybody moved to the Niger Delta, nobody comes. So the point is that I don't want to go into some guys who potentially will have made something here because it was Nigerian Navy who tried to stop them, from scooping and blah, 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 blah. The environmental impact. So the bottom line is this the well. Wow. But what I'm trying to say here is that even aside from established, petroliferous Niger Delta, there's so much opportunities, in the inland, government basins. Okay, next slide. Since I hope you are chasing it. So anyway, at Petroserv, we'll help you find the hydrocarbon. That's our proven commitment. You can always get that. Thanks for listening, including those online. And this is fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Taye. I know we came to listen to one presentation, but you had another one now. So you brought it two for the class as well. So thank you very much. And thank you very much to Integral Petroserv. NAPIL is indeed grateful. Mr. Taye has about 30 years experience in the industry. He has worked in Chevron, ExxonMobil, and First E&P. He was senior technical advisor in Exxon. Many people here, they know him. And development manager in First E&P. And he actually was in charge of bringing the offshore field, I can't remember the date now, with First E&P into production. Yes, yeah. So another round of applause for him, please. So we also have another senior friend in the house, Mr. Benga Olumuriwa. He's Executive Director, Planning and Strategy, Harmony International. He's here in Houston. He's always supported us. Thank you very much for coming around, sir. Thank you. Okay, so it's gradually coming to an end. And I will just zip through very quickly some announcements. So we have a special technical business meeting coming up on January 21st, and it's in honor of Ogbueshi Ben Osuno, famously regarded as 001 in NAPIL, for those that know. So he's actually the founding father of NAPIL. He turns 90, and there is a bit of a celebration being put together to honor him in Lagos. If you cannot attend, you can attend virtually. So we will post the details and send them to you via email and the link so you can join and celebrate this legend of the industry. So if you are interested in sponsoring, the details are here. You can contact Dr. Anthony Ufoma, President-elect NAPIL, or the NAPIL Secretariat, Lawrence Oswabu. And annual international conference is coming up. It will hold from the 8th to the 12th of November in Lagos at the Hotel. The theme for this year's conference is Unlocking More Barrels, Driving Reserves Growth through Exploration, Local Capabilities, and Adaptive Technology. I think some of the discussions we've had today ties in very nicely with this theme. So please watch out for that, mark your calendars and plan to attend.
So there is a fundraising drive currently going on for a NAPE secretariat. So there are different tiers and levels of contribution. We are all encouraged to be part of that. So NAPE needs a permanent secretariat in Lagos, and there's a drive towards that. So the details are here. You can take a snapshot and get involved. Okay. And also, any organization thrives on active membership and also the financial commitment of its members. So please, we encourage you to pay up your annual dues. We have a membership officer here for this chapter. The details will be communicated to us, and you can check your status to know if you are up to date or not. And if so, please do the needful. We have online Mr. Alex Taka, former NAPE president, FNAPE. Thank you for joining us. It's past 2 a.m. in Lagos now, and we have close to 30 people online. I think we should give them a round of applause. So it goes to show the commitment of our members and also the stimulating discussions we've had here today. So we'll bring it. Okay. All right. So yeah. So please do not be in a hurry to leave. We have provided, through the generosity of Integral Petroserv, some light refreshments for you. It's also an opportunity to network and to ask more questions. Unfortunately, our main speaker ran away, but we can take questions on his behalf and still send them to him. But there are lots of experts in the house, lots of experts. I mean, one question I would have loved to ask, and maybe Taye, we can have that discussion. Taye, by the way, was involved in the first 20K PSI development, field development in the world, which is Anchor, the Gulf of America, by Chevron. So I want to know if we can replicate that in the Niger Delta, because we know we have all those deep prospectivity, that we haven't touched. So yeah, we can talk about that later. So that's one of the questions that we should be talking about. So I will call on our assistant chapter coordinator, Mr. Chuks Adeniyi of ExxonMobil, to please give the vote of thanks and usher us to the next best part of today, which is the networking.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. I think you've already done a fantastic job of thanking everybody now, but I'll start with thanking our sponsor, Petroserv. Thank you very much. I also want to thank our speaker, even though he has made his exit, but I thank him in absence. That was a fantastic presentation. He took us through a very key presentation on pore pressure prediction, starting by giving us a bit of a quiz on what pore pressure prediction is all about, and then went on to introduce it to us and told us the impact of not doing it. And I think our experience was really enriched by the presence of some of our really senior colleagues who also added some points, right? Because throughout the conversation, we talked about how pore pressure prediction helps you save money, but then it doesn't really help you save money, it saves lives. And that's really key. So thank you very much. I want to thank you all for participating in the room. I want to thank those that participated online. Like we said, staying up this late in the morning to participate in an event like this. We really appreciate it. I'm going to say again, we want to thank our sponsor. I'll continue thanking our sponsor. To invite every other person to come sponsor us. Some partner, that North America. We invite you to sponsor us to go these events. Today has been an amazing day for me. I see people in the room that inspired me to be in this industry. And seeing you all participate the way you have participated today inspires me to keep doing it. And I hope that for some of our younger friends, I can say that now, I've not been able to say that for a while. So for some of our younger friends in the room, I'm in my mid-career now, those that haven't even started, those that are still in school, I hope you're inspired the way I was inspired by the events like this to be in this fantastic industry. Yes, exactly. And I have folks in here that really, that groomed me. I have my mentors in the room, starting from the CEO of Petroserv, Integral Petroserv. I'm a geologic modeler today because of you. So I feel very, very comfortable in this room, and I'm inviting you all to
And then finally, I want to thank, like I said, those that participated. I think the presence of our senior colleagues, those that have retired but are still doing this, shows us how much passion they have for what we're doing. So I want to thank you especially for making your presence here. All the fellows of Norway that are present in the room, thank you so much for being here with us. Like we said, this is not the end of the event. Please feel free to mingle. Listen, it's not about learning alone, it's also about getting to know each other and continue to build the network that is a NAPE North American chapter. We'll continue to grow, we'll continue to distinguish ourselves as a special chapter, and I thank you all for attending today. Good night.
Thank you. Just before we move out to enjoy the refreshments, two quick announcements. So we'll take a quick hold, before we go. And then also, we have some light refreshments, some soft drinks, water. Also, you'll get a ticket to have a drink or two at the bar, at the moment. Alcoholic drinks if you want.
Thank you, everyone. A special announcement: to get to the bar, you go down this hall and you turn right, and you go back down the hall. We're going to take a picture first.
Let's take a photo, please.
Let's have yes. I think the movie back. Oh, okay. We tried. It was a good thing we did. As last time we had 60 something online.
Picture time. Let's now. Please let's take a picture. Fortune, can you help me run it? Let's take a picture.
Last week. All right.